Well, it impacts on absolutely everything. You can't just switch it off. So every day, whether it's Christmas Day, his birthday, Easter this weekend with the Easter egg hunts, and yeah, you just can't switch off from it. Even at night, we wake up in the middle of the night, don't we, worrying about is he high, is he low, going and testing him. Yeah. I think the other thing with impact is on his schoolwork. So very often in the morning he's really high, so that clearly impacts on his concentration levels and stuff like that. And then he can have hypos at school. I wouldn't say positive, so I get upset thinking about it. Sorry.
That's right.
I wouldn't say positive. Go on, you say, love.
I don't know what you were going to say. I suppose we've come together, like, you know, kind of like pulled together as a team sort of thing, and yeah, feeling proud of how well Mitch deals with it, I think, is probably what Dave was going to say. Yeah, because you're really good and everyone sees that and compliments how well he deals with it all, and yeah, that's been a positive.
I think what we try and do is be as positive as possible. I think if, say, it's affecting me and Faye's anxieties, we'd never let that off onto Mitch because of how well he deals with it. So I think we try and, it's obviously incorporated into everything now in terms of life. We know that we do our best we can. Do we always test him 15 minutes before food? No, we don't. Do we always wash his hands before? No, we don't, because it is really difficult. But do we give it our best shot to make sure it's as well as we treat him as well as we can do? Yes, we do. Do we make sure he's eating properly? Yes, we do.
I suppose to me it's that the cells in Mitch's pancreas have been killed off for whatever reason. It's the body's attacked itself, so he no longer produces insulin. Yeah, that's it really, I suppose, in a nutshell. What would you add to that?
Medically wise, it's I wouldn't add anything, but in terms of what it means to us as a family, it's just a way of life now. It's just part of our life it will be there for the rest of our lives. Obviously impacting Mitch a hell of a lot more than me and his mum, but yeah, I can imagine when I'm a lot older and Mitch is off doing whatever he's doing, I'll still be worrying about him and ringing him and asking him, have you tested your bloods? How do we manage it? I think we work together. I think we support each other through the good times and the bad times, and remain positive through it all, because if you didn't, it could drag you down.
So Mitch is on an insulin pump, so he wears that 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, unless he's playing football, takes it off for that. So he's on, it's just Nova Rapid insulin, isn't it? So hypoglycemia is a blood glucose reading of anything under 4. I know some people say 3.9, but we treat under 4. If we get a blood reading under 4, we'll treat Mitch immediately with any form of sugar. Mitch's choice of sugars, Haribo. But it can be any form of sugar. Fast-acting sugar's the best. And what do you feel like when you're hypo?
Hungry, wibbly wobbly.
Wibbly wobbly, yeah. And sometimes you can see his eyes glaze over, he goes pale. He acts sometimes out of character, can be a bit moody, short-tempered. So hyperglycemia is anything over 14 minimal blood glucose reading. Symptoms of that are Mitch will sometimes, again, act out of character.
Feel really thirsty.
Yeah, feels very thirsty, can feel sick if it goes on too long. Again, you've got to act quite quickly, and he needs insulin when he's hyper. If you don't give the insulin, you've got a risk of ketones developing. And if you don't get rid of the ketones ASAP, then it can be quite dangerous, can't it? There's a risk of something called DKA. I can't say the full name of it, you'll have to.
Diabetic ketoacidosis.
Like, so when you're high, you just feel really unwell, and so I get like more unwell, sort of. I get more unwell I get unwell most of the time, like when I'm high, and I feel really thirsty. Just like if I'm high, I just don't play as well, and my touch is off. Maybe not a good shot, and I get angry or sad about it.
Yeah, and I get really frustrated. Well, you know, I get like in the morning, if he's high, I get really frustrated because I think to myself, it's the one thing he likes to do all week. It's only an hour game. And you know, with if he's had a hypo, for example, in the game, that's 15, 20 minutes off the pitch. So near enough half the time, he's off the pitch. So there's probably times that he's played and he said he's fine and he's been too high, but a healthcare person would say he shouldn't be playing because he's too high. And sometimes it's impact on form. It's not very often, or sometimes you just play on with it, don't you?
Mm.
I find it frustrating to not know how that feels, if you know what I mean. I can relate to feeling hypo and being, needing some food quickly and feeling hungry and stuff like that. But I can't relate at all to what it feels like being high.
Well, it depends on how high or low he is. Generally, once he gets tested before he leaves the house, about 15 minutes before kick-off, and then depending on what he is then, sometimes actually at kick-off, if he's high or low, and then at half time.
That just, even though you have diabetes, you can still do stuff. Like, you can still do what you want, almost. And just never give up, really.
I think everything's a joint decision, like we do with all the kids. It's what do you want for breakfast, and if we've got it in, it's generally breakfast for Mitch is normally toast and fruit, isn't it? Like I said, in the morning you try lots of different ways of treat, giving him the correct carbs for the food, but in the morning he naturally goes quite high anyway, and we found croissants and chocolate spread sends him quite high. And we're trying to work out ways that he can still have that breakfast without going high. But generally, I'd say Mitch is, breakfast-wise, is a healthy eater. Will always have his fruit. Generally with toast, unless it's a Saturday morning. Then we have after football, it's a bacon sandwich, isn't it?
I think that school have been so far. He's still in primary, have been really open to training. They've always gone along to the training sessions, haven't they? They've taken it seriously. They've supported Mitch on the whole. Oh, you're always starving when you come out of school, aren't you? You and George.
That's George.
Wow, yeah. There's been times as well at school, haven't there, where you've been on like day trips or they've bought like popcorn to watch a film and stuff, and sometimes they've not been sure about what to do, I don't know, with correction or things like that, have they? So they've asked Mitch, and sometimes you're not sure when the adult in charge isn't sure. It puts him in doubt then.
Because he finds learning difficult, the diabetes is only really because he's missed so much school time in terms of whether he's woken up and he's high and he's got ketones so he can't go to school at all, or even like the clinic appointments sometimes are in school time, to the times when he has to come out of lesson because he is high or low. I think we'd be shocked if we saw on paper exactly how many hours he's missed of school time, really. He would be at more of an even kill with the other classmates, but because he misses so much school time, even when he's in school, or in the morning when you look at his book and he's 19, 20, 21, that's going to have impact on his concentration levels at some stage, isn't it? I just think he's almost at a disadvantage straight away from the start in terms of his learning. Because the older you get, I mean, Mitch is quite open and honest about his diabetes, and I'm only guessing this, but I suppose the older you get, I'm not sure if how confident any child would be getting a pump out, getting his bloods out in front of a class of people who he's not met before. I think on a training night, anytime Mitch doesn't have his dinner before football, he always has a hypo during football. So Faye has to be quite, because it's foot training on a Tuesdays at 6 o'clock. So Faye has to be quite strict that the meal's on the table for 5, because it can't be much later because of digesting the food, so he doesn't get indigestion for football. But making sure he's actually had something to eat. Otherwise, any time that he plays football and he's not had any dinner, you'll say to me, I'm going to go hypo during training. And I said, well, yeah, not unless you have something now quickly. And that's happened a couple of times, hasn't it?
Yeah.
So I think, like you say, in terms of routine, it's really important, certainly for football, that he stays in a routine to ensure that he's at his levels, the right levels when he's playing. We have set meals, don't we, not every week, but over 2 weeks we have set meals that we know that...
I think there's certain things that I try and avoid as well, because I kind of think, I don't know, if I do that meal, it's always like a guess. But, you know, if it's kind of something that is easier to carb count, I do tend to lean towards that.
I think the most difficult thing for dinner time is generally I'm at work. Faye's trying to look after 3 children, cook the dinner, and then trying to make sure that Mitch has done his bloods 15 minutes before. I mean, it's quite a lot going on. So sometimes it'd be like we're sitting down to the dinner table. Mitch, have you done your bloods? And you go, oh, I forgot. But he's just out playing football in the garden. So in that respect, he's doing something that he enjoys and he's running around, and it's just one of them things. So that I'd say difficult. So I'm not quite sure a single parent does it with loads of kids. It's hard because sometimes he's obviously fast asleep and I'm waking him up, saying, Mitch, you need a biscuit, or you need a whatever. And I feel sorry for him because he wakes up, he eats it, and then he goes back to sleep. And I think
we had to wake him 3 times one night for school night to have sweets, or to feed him. And you just think, oh, you feel sorry for him the next morning. He's had that interrupted sleep and he's got to go and do a day at school.
No matter what journey you go through in life, the diabetes isn't going to hold him back, whether it's football, whatever he chooses to do. It's almost knocking down them barriers and onto the next goal, really. And I think that probably for me, giving Mitch a role model and someone to look up to say, you know, you can.